Really long time since we uploaded a video on the channel, but a lot of stuff's happened over the past 6 months. I think the last video uploaded was like, top mods to do to your Camaro ZL1, the top first mods to do. And I've since gotten rid of the Camaro ZL1. We're gonna talk about that. I got something else that's pretty cool. Still have the Type R, as you can see. And I'm gonna give you guys a channel update on what's been going on the past 6 months, why I haven't been uploading videos to this channel, why my front bumper ripped off going down the freeway. We're also gonna be installing another modification today. And then I'm gonna show you some things that I've kind of done to the Civic since we last made a video on it. And we're gonna talk about what's coming into Civic, because I think you're gonna be excited about that. Number one, the front bumper ripped off the car. Well, not completely off, but pretty close. Going down the freeway at about 85 miles an hour. Back in February, I believe, of this year, 2021, I installed the Sabon front lip onto here, and it's not a very big lip. It's not even really classified as a splitter. It's just a thin lip that sticks onto the front lip of this car. I guess what happened was over time, the air that pushes down on the lip for downforce ended up ripping the bottom portion of this front bumper, and it started flapping, and then the concrete chewed it up. I'll flash some photos up of it. When it happened, it was about 115 degrees outside, and I was about 40 miles from home. Thankfully, I had a pocket knife, and I was able to pop all the clips out and yank that lip off on the side of the road. It was already destroyed, so I just folded it in half, threw it in the car, drove home the rest of the way. I couldn't go over 50 or 55 miles an hour without the OEM lip doing like this and flopping in the wind. And so I just turned my emergency flashers on and drove slow because I didn't know how much damage was done to this bumper. So when I got home, I took the front bumper off. I'll flash some photos. I took a lot of photos of it because I was just not in the mood for filming. Basically on the front bumper, there are about 2 places on each side of the intercooler where the lower portion of the bumper connects to the upper portion. Lower portion being the part that the OEM lip is attached to. Those were completely sheared off. So I was really bummed out because at the time we were getting ready to move. We'll talk more about that in a minute too, because that ties into the car channel and why I haven't been making videos. So I pulled the front bumper off, took it into my office at home because I didn't want to work out in a garage in 115 degree heat, and I started brainstorming, like, what are my options here? Option number one was to order a new OEM bumper. They don't come painted, even from Honda. I wish they did, but they don't. I think those were about $600. Wait 6 to 7 weeks to get one, go take it to get painted. Hopefully it gets paint matched correctly, and then install that. That would have been, option number one. And that would have cost me approximately, probably with paint and everything, probably like $1,100 or $1,200. But I was like, man, I don't really want to buy a new front bumper just because this lower lip broke off. So I took a different route, and so far it's holding up really well. First thing I did, I went to the hardware store and I picked up some JB Weld for industrial plastics. And essentially, I took the bumper, flipped it upside down in my office, and on the spots that ripped on the bumper, I JB welded them together. I had to hold them touching for like 20 minutes before the glue would even hold it together. And then I put extra glue around it. I let it cure for like 2 or 3 days. And then I reinstalled it on the car, drove it around, got it up to about 80, 85 miles an hour. Didn't have any issues, but I didn't want to have any further issues. So I did something else to make sure that it doesn't happen again. All right, so sorry for the weird camera angles, guys. This garage is really small. It's really difficult to get the camera in front of the car. This right here that I'm touching is the OEM lip, and then this right here is a chassis splitter from Racebred components. And essentially, the way that this works is you pull your entire front bumper off. It comes with this bracket system. You drill into your OEM crash bar. You have to get this special tool, which I'll link in the description in case you want to check it out and get one of these. You get the special tool and it puts rivets into the bumper so you can thread it in. You have a support on each side, and then you have a support here and a support here. And you can literally stand on this guy. I'm not going to do it, but you could stand on this guy and it'll hold a ton of weight. But the reason that I got this is the part that broke was right here. And so this goes all the way back up underneath here. And any downforce that hits this front lip now will be supported by the chassis splitter. So basically, even if I scrape it on like, you know, a driveway, or even if there's a lot of downforce, this OEM lip isn't flexing anymore. So that's how I fixed it, and that's how I avoided having to buy a brand new bumper. Now, what's even stranger about this was about 3 weeks after this happened to me, I actually was on the Civic Type R Facebook group. I don't remember which Facebook group it was, but one of the Civic Type R groups. And this happened to someone else, but they didn't have an aftermarket splitter or front lip. It just happened on their OEM lip. And I'm like, wow. And when I started looking at this bumper, I mean, those little there's literally 2 spots on each side of where the intercooler is, where the lower half of the bumper is attached to the upper portion with just thin pieces of plastic. And it seems to be like a design flaw. I don't know if it's happened to a ton of people, but here's the rub with front lips on this car. I was originally gonna get like the Varus lip or the rip-off Varus lip, and I couldn't find it. So I got the Sabon lip. Now, usually with these lips or quote unquote splitters, you should get splitter rods. If you haven't seen splitter rods, I'll throw a photo up. Splitter rods are to prevent that kind of thing from happening, to keep it from the downforce from pulling it down and then, you know, having an issue like this. The downside though to splitter rods is, and I kind of learned this with the Sabon lip, even though I didn't have rods, is say you go into like a steep driveway and then you bump something like this, those splitter rods are now gonna puncture holes into your bumper. And so if you are gonna do a lip or a splitter, I 100% recommend a chassis splitter. Doesn't matter if it's Racebred components. I think Battle Arrow makes a really good one. Racebred components makes a really good one. For mine, I chose a 1-inch extension. Now, obviously, the longer the extension, the more downforce you get, but I literally just bought this as extra support for the bumper, not so much to actually be a splitter, but on their website, you can't choose a 1-inch extension. You have to send them an email and do that. This is brand new. This is the PRL RaceMath. I already had the PRL HVI Intake and had the regular street math on it because when I bought the intake, they didn't offer a RaceMath. Now, I will tell you this. If you don't have an intake yet and you're planning on, you know, trying to get above 400 wheel horsepower on the Type R, buy it with the RaceMath already included. Because now when you buy the intake, you get to choose RaceMath or street math. The RaceMath is gonna 100% require a tune, but definitely get it. In the Hondata FlashPro, when you're selecting your mods, there's actually a box that you can tick that will compensate for this until you can get a custom tune. I noticed a difference right away. I sent some data logs to my tuner, which is Redstar Motoring out of Puerto Rico, if you guys don't know. He does a lot of street tunes for me. He looked at the logs, said everything's running perfectly, and I'm excited about that. All right, so another mod that we've done is I installed a larger carbon fiber center section. I'll flash a photo up of what the OEM section looks like, and then you can see this section. I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. I'm gonna talk to you guys about something real fast. This is a EPR center section for the wing. I believe I paid $300 for it. You know, my hood that I have is like the Varus style hood. It's by EPR. Now, if you're 100%, you just need the clout, you know, for name brand stuff, go ahead, spend the money on Varus, spend the money on like real Mugen stuff. Nothing against them at all, but this EPR stuff for the price is absolutely amazing. Like $300 for that. I believe the Varus one is like $1,000 or more. It's ridiculous in comparison. And knowing what I know, so my main channel is a gun channel and I review guns and firearms and stuff. And knowing what I know about manufacturing, I guarantee that the majority of this stuff is probably made in the same factory, except one company throws a logo on it and one company doesn't. I'm not saying that that's the case, I'm just saying I know with guns, it happens a lot, especially with AR-15s, and I guarantee it's happening with these car parts that they're charging too much money for. All right, end of rant. Yeah, this is carbon fiber. The OEM piece that goes in here is just, you know, fiberglass. It's black. The blade angle on here is a lot steeper, and I definitely noticed more stability, you know, once you approach speeds of 100 miles an hour or more. It just seemed to squat down even better, especially after I added that front splitter up front. So this is new. It's super easy to install. There's just like 2 bolts that are up underneath on each side of here. You just loosen those up, you just pry this apart, pop the new one in, screw it in, you're good to go. Before we get into why I got rid of the Camaro and everything, I got one little part that I'm gonna install on here, and it's a new set of rock guards. So I currently have the Rally Armor rock guards on here, and honestly, I don't like them anymore. And I'll talk more about that as we're installing these, but I got these new ones from a company called Rokblokz, and I stumbled across them when I was looking for rock guards for the new car that we have, which we'll cover in a sec. So let's just install these, and then we'll get to the rest of the video. All right guys, so I wanted to show you guys how to install these new rock guards that I picked up from Rokblokz is the name of the company. Let me show these to you. Previously, I had these guys right here. These are the Rally Armor mud flaps because in 2019, when I bought my Civic, I think these were the only options at the time. There may have been one other, but they were out of stock. So I just never really worried about picking them up, the other ones, because they were out of stock. But I got these and I've had them on my car now since 2019. A couple things I don't like about these, I'll zoom you in, is right here, because these are so soft, they're kind of hard to clean. The fronts are a little easier than the rears, but the rears are a lot more difficult to clean. And the other thing that I don't like about the Rally Armor mud flaps is the way that the rears install. So I picked these guys up. This one's the front flap, and then this one here is the rear flap. I'll show you more about how the installs here in a second. It seems like on the Type R, the rear flaps on the Type R, which we're gonna get to in a second, are kind of cumbersome to have them installed. So I'm just gonna put this front one on, and then I'll show you guys kind of the difference in between them. Something else about these Rally Armor flaps, I was taking them off and I wanted to show it to you. There's a piece that's back here. Because these are floppy, I've already taken one screw out, but because they're floppy, you have to install this other support bracket on the Rally Armors to get them installed. And something that I kind of liked about these a little bit better is there's no support bracket because they're rigid. So to install this guy right here, all you're gonna do is you're gonna take out a screw here, and a screw right here. And then you're gonna take those screws, and in the box, you got these really big washers. You're gonna use those washers to put it right through here. So to get that installed, we're simply gonna put the screw through and just kind of start it by hand. You shouldn't have to take the front tire off for this. However, on the rears, you will have to remove the wheel. And I'll show you why in a second. Take a little Phillips head. And these are adjustable in and out, like so. I pull mine out just to make sure that I'm not gonna get any rocks kicking up onto the side of the paint. Also, you will notice I am missing this screw right here. So I am gonna reorder that screw. I forgot the part number, but I'll find it. I'm gonna order another one of those screws because there is another washer. So you can have 3 screws in here and it will be mounted solid. And to get them nice and snug, I'm gonna use a 90-degree Phillips head. And the cool thing is they sit about the same distance down as the Rally Armors, but they don't flap and they're easier to clean. So now let's move to the rear. So on the rears, aside from these being like super flappy, there's a couple of other things that I don't like about the rears. Number one, aside from the flappiness, they're held in place with a metal bracket that I'm gonna show you in a second. And it pulls at this bumper. It's just not as stable as I'd like it to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, these mud flaps have done a great job over the past couple of years, and they have protected my car from rock chips, but I just don't like this. Another thing I don't like about these is the way that this bracket that's behind this mud flap, it mounts inside the bumper back here, and you have to pull this flap down, and I gotta do all that. And then the last thing I don't like is they included all chrome hardware. No black hardware with this, and it's super annoying, but they do kind of stick out like a sore thumb even when your rear tire is installed. Another thing that I have noticed, I haven't looked at these since I've installed them, is all these little washers that they came with, they're really bent up. They're made of plastic. So something I noticed with the Rokblokz is all the washers are metal. Just something that I noticed. Now, one thing I will say that is a pro about these is you don't have to remove your rear tire to install them or uninstall them. However, the reason I removed the wheel is with the Rokblokz, you do. So pulling these off, you're gonna see this metal bracket right here. And this metal bracket has a flat piece that goes back into the bumper where I'm gonna have to use this flat head to take it out. Okay, so here's this metal bracket I was telling you about. And the way it works is it sits in here and then it slides back in there and it's held in place with a clip, and it is a pain in the butt to get off. So that's the things that I didn't like about the Rally Armor flaps, aside from them being really hard to clean because they're so floppy. So let's start installing the Rokblokz. One of the first things you're gonna wanna do, here's a little pop clip we need to take out right here. This guy right here, you're not gonna need it, so it doesn't matter if it breaks. But this is the only reason we have to remove the wheel, is this guy. Now that's out. Now in the packaging here, you'll see a piece that looks like this. It's a plug. It's gonna go in there, just like that. And now we have to do, well, what I'm gonna call prepping this rock block here. And the way it's gonna fit into here is the logo is gonna face the rear. And it's simply gonna go into here. And then that piece, you'll have a screw that goes into that plug that we put right there. Now, in order to prep this, you're gonna notice a slanted line and a couple of other things. The way this works is you're gonna take this little clip here, this square end, the flat end here, just kind of rests there. It doesn't really go into it, but it kind of rests there. And you're gonna have some shorter screws and some longer screws. And the shorter screws, you're also gonna take one of these washers here. Okay, so you're gonna have that set into place there. Then you'll put a washer on the other side, take one of the shorter screws, and you're gonna start screwing that in. Now, these are not threaded. These are made of plastic, and it's meant to self-thread. So you're gonna wanna hold this guy on this side, like so, and then you're gonna use the other side and start screwing it in. So we got that installed, and that is kind of in there. It's just a guide. And the way it's gonna work is we're gonna pop these on, and then this fender liner here is gonna slide underneath this clip. And we're gonna do the same thing for down here as well. Now in the instructions, it does say not to over tighten these, because if you over tighten them, there's not gonna be enough slack there to slide this liner in. All right, so there's that. Now we're gonna take our screw out that was up here, and we're gonna take off this OEM washer type deal, and we're gonna put in one of their washers. And the cool thing about the clips is they do slide up and down so you can get everything kind of properly aligned. Okay, get that. I don't want it to be too tight, but I do want it to be tight enough. Then you're gonna take one of these longer screws and you're gonna get it started over here. There's that one. Then you're gonna tighten this one down. And that's how you install the rears. Kind of going back to what I was talking about with the Rally Armors, I wish that these screws were black. This screw's black. This screw you're not really gonna see, but I just wish those two were black, but maybe that's just me. So I really like these mud flaps or rock guards so much better. They're so much easier to clean. I just kind of did some tests, you know, just scraping them and stuff. They look better. They don't flap around in the wind. These are 100% go. I'll throw a link down in the description for you if you guys want to check them out. They did send them out to me to do the review, and they also sent me some on the new car that we're going to talk about in a second. So I will be making a video about the new car and the rock guards that are going on it very soon. I guess that's a good segue to talk about what's coming in the future for the Type R, what happened to the Camaro, what's going on with this house situation, and what's coming in the future. Coming in the future for the Type R, and I'm waiting on it, it should be here this month, I'm hoping, PRL P600 drop-in turbo. I ordered it and they said it should ship out mid-December. It's about mid-December now, I believe, when this video gets uploaded. So that's gonna be interesting. We'll document that experience. You know, I probably, after I put that in, I'm probably gonna have to get some new tires, probably some Toyo R888Rs, just so this dang thing will hook. But that's exciting. Right now, currently on the car, with all the bolt-ons, you know, we got the Hondata fuel system, every bolt-on imaginable with the race math and a catted downpipe. And we're running E48 in the car right now. And this thing's pushing over 400 wheel horsepower. I wanna be able to hit 450-ish or more wheel horsepower running on 91, and then go up from there if I add ethanol. Reason being, there's only like 1 or 2 ethanol stations that I can hit within proximity to me. And, you know, I would like to be able to go out of town and just run 91 and still have power. So that's coming in the future. So let's talk about the Camaro, but this is also gonna tie into the housing situation that I'm in right now. At my last house, me and my wife were renting and we were gonna buy a home. We've been saving for a long time. We got enough money to buy a home that is in the 7-figure range. And that's really what we need because I work from home. I've been working from home for the past 5.5 years doing YouTube. And so I got the gun channel and then I got this channel. I was looking to buy a house that was like 6,000 square feet and I wanted it to have a 4-car garage plus an RV garage that I could put a lift in. When we first started looking, houses were available. They were all over the place and they were within our budget, but my CPA didn't finish my taxes. This was back in 2020. He was waiting on some letters from the IRS, and because of COVID, the IRS, dragged their feet getting these letters to him so we could get the taxes filed. By the time he got the taxes filed, all the prices of homes doubled. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything. The price range of homes we were looking at that fit our needs, we were gonna have to spend like 1.2 million to get the home. Well, now those $1.2 million homes are $2.5 million. I can afford it, but I don't want to afford it, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is I don't like living at the top of my budget. I like living halfway or below my budget. So if I make this much money and here's mortgage payments and all that stuff, I don't want my total bills to go above half of my income. And so I need to save more money so I can buy the 2.5 house. So we had decided we were just gonna stay in the rental home that we had even though we were outgrowing it. Right after we made that decision, the owners of the home said, we wanna sell this house. Do you guys wanna buy it? And we really didn't. We didn't wanna buy it. We didn't wanna stay in the town that we were in. We asked them how much they wanted and the price that they wanted, we could have wrote them a check for the house, but it just was not worth the house. It was about a $250,000 house and they wanted $500,000 for it. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't care if the market's hot right now. I'm not paying you that much money for this house and it doesn't fit my needs. So we were like, screw it. Let's see if we can find a house to buy. Then nothing came available. And this all happened same time as like my front bumper ripping off and stuff. So then we're like, screw it. Let's find another place to rent. So we found this house right now that we're renting. This house literally solves none of the problems that I needed. I needed more space. Doesn't solve that problem. I needed a bigger garage. Doesn't solve that problem. But the worst part is I'm paying more than double the rent for this house because of the stupid housing market. That kind of bummed me out. The other reason I needed a garage is so I can put an air conditioner in it because it's so hot in the summertime here and I don't really have any help with my channel, right? Like I had help with Vivid Racing when we did the Type R at first, but they got so busy that they don't have any lifts available for me to go so I can film and install parts, and I'm not gonna get underneath a car on jack stands. I've known too many people that got crushed and killed by them. So that's part of the reason why I haven't been uploading videos. It's just been hectic. It's been 120 degrees outside up until recently. I don't do well in the heat. I just don't. Now, talking about the Camaro. So I originally bought the Camaro just for the channel, just to do the build series. And it wasn't really a car I had to have, but it was something that I wanted to get to see if people liked it. So one reason I got rid of it was when I uploaded Camaro videos, nobody seemed to care. In comparison to the Type R, no one seemed to care. And that's fine. Like I was gonna continue the build, finish it up and everything. But I bumped into my other problem that I had where the shops that were supposed to help me so that I could put it on a lift and film for the install, they were too busy to help me. So here I am, I had this $1,300 car payment and I looked at that car as like a business transaction. Like if I'm not making money off the car, why do I even have it? Like Type R is different. Type R is a personal car. And if it makes me money, that's cool, but I don't have to. But that car was strictly for trying to grow the channel. When we moved into this house, our rent went up by like $2 grand a month. And I was like, man, might as well just get rid of this stupid Camaro because I'm never gonna be able to put the parts on it because 1, I don't have a shop to do it in, 2, I don't have any help. And then even if I paid someone to install them and then made a video about it, I was just gonna rip them right back off, sell the car so I could get something else. So I was like, man, let's just get rid of this car. But the downside was because I only owned the car for like 11 months, even though the market's hot right now, I still was upside down like 10 grand in the car, which I expected. And I was like, man, how can I get rid of this car and not pay 10 grand to the bank? I had a Ram Power Wagon, which is kind of like, that's my work truck basically for going out in the desert and getting shooting footage for my other channel. That truck had like $22,000 in positive equity on it. So I asked my wife, I said, I could trade my truck and my Camaro and I could go buy this other truck because I gotta have a truck regardless. And our payments would go down by $1,000 a month. How do you like that? And she's like, that sounds great. So I traded them in and I bought a Ram TRX. You've probably seen it on the Instagram page. And I might make some videos on it. I don't know yet. Depends on how things go. My biggest bottleneck right now is I need a new house and multiple garages, and it's gonna take a while because I need to make more money so I can afford it, or I'm gonna have to move out of state. So that's kind of where we're at with that. want to let you guys know, I didn't give up on you guys. I want you guys to understand that. It's just, it got hot and then we moved and then it was just chaos. And I was literally just getting burned out mentally. So that's why I haven't uploaded videos, but I am gonna upload the video of the PRL P600. We'll talk about tuning it. Hopefully we can get this car dynoed to see what kind of power we actually make. And then let me know if you wanna see any content on the Ram TRX. That is my work truck, my day. It's not really a daily. I work from home. I don't really have a daily. It's a personal car. I bought it because I wanted it, not because I felt like I had to make content with it. And I think moving forward on this channel, I'm not giving up on this channel at all. Moving forward on this channel, that's all I'm gonna do. If I'm not gonna try to flip cars and stuff like some of these other channels like Street Speed and all that. That's not my dream. I don't dream of flipping cars just for the heck of it to get clout on YouTube. My thing is, I just wanna buy cars that I'm genuinely interested in, play with them, see how I like them. If I like them, keep them. If I don't like them, get rid of them. So that's a truck that I genuinely love. It's literally the best truck that I've ever driven in my life. Let me know if you wanna see some content on it. And if you do, let me know what kind of content you wanna see. I'm a little bit hesitant on modifying it too much because first year model, people have problems. I don't really wanna void the warranty right away because if it has problems, I want it to be fixed. But we might do an exhaust or something, but let me know what you guys think. Also, let me know what else you want to see on the Type R. I mean, I don't know what else I can do on the Type R. After we did the PRL P600 Turbo, I did order some new tail lights and I ordered a new wing to go on the back just to see if we like it or not. I'm not going to give you any hints on what kind of wing it is, but I love the factory wing with that, Veris EPR center portion. But what other content do you want to see on this car? I kind of feel like we covered most everything, but maybe there's something I forgot. I think the moral of the story with the Type R, I wouldn't put any front lip on the car that isn't a chassis splitter. Just gonna be real with you. It'll probably rip your front bumper off eventually, just from the downforce. But anyways, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.